future. So,
All right.
without further ado, Jodi Hoagland.
So I get to make the first of 2 reports on a project that was one of my brainchildren and something that I felt very passionate about, and so I'm very excited to get to tell you what our club did and some members of other clubs in Bloomington to be able to support Nyaka in a very specific way. I'm going to start out by giving you some statistics and just to show due diligence. These are from UNESCO and from the World Health Organization. So these are valid statistics. I didn't just Google things or make them up. On an annual basis, 131 million girls are out of school. 100 million of those girls are high school age. 10 to 20%. Annually, 10 to 20% of school days are missed due to female students not having appropriate menstrual health supplies. 10 to 20% of school days. 1 in 10. 1 in 10 girls in Africa miss school because of their periods. In Malawi, sanitary pads cost the equivalent of 1 day's entire salary. In Kenya, 2/3 of women and girls cannot afford menstrual health products. In India, 1 in 5 girls drops out of school when they start menstruating. In some regions of India, like the rural regions of Maharashtra, it's 4 in 5 girls drop out of school when they start menstruating. It's very easy to think of this as an impoverished or developing world problem, but here's some statistics from the United States. 1 in 5 girls in America have either left school early or missed school entirely because they did not have access to period products. The average woman spends $13.25 a month on menstrual health supplies. If this is a female who's working minimum wage, this is 2 hours of pay for menstrual health supplies. If this is a woman who has daughters who are also menstruating, you can just amplify that. My mom had 3 girls. We spent a lot of money. The average woman spends $6,360 in a lifetime on menstrual health products. The other thing to consider is that in this country, these products are taxed at the local tax rate. So here it's 7%, right, on top of this. $6,360 invested at the age of 12. We've got financial people in here. Where else could this money have gone for these families, right? Because of our connection with Nyaka, I reached out to Jackson and asked if there was a way that we could provide period products for the female students in the Nyaka schools. And if they had seen these same statistics, if they were seeing young girls and young women missing school. Absolutely they are. These young women come from, miles away. They walk to school and they were seeing the same thing. About 20%, 5 to 7 days a month, these young women were not coming to school. So about a year ago, end of May last year, we had a wine tasting out at Mark and Jean Dayton's, and we tasted wines of South Africa. We spent a total of $200 on food for that event. Mark and Jean graciously donated the wine. Dave Morrison donated a very expensive bottle of wine that we auctioned off. People paid $25 a head to come and taste wines, and we asked for donations. Jackson was there and he spoke. We raised $2,700 in one evening of tasting wine, having good fellowship, and some snacks. With that $2,700, we were able to partner with a company in Kenya, I'm sorry, I just misspoke, a company in Western Uganda called AfriPads, and they make reusable menstrual products and underwear for women around the world. So with our $2,706, not sure where the 6 came from, we were able to provide reusable menstrual health products for 191 young women who are attending school. Not only did they get a set of 6 reusable menstrual pads, they also were given underwear. Think about underwear, we think of that as a basic in this country. That's not something they generally have, but if you're going to have a menstrual pad, you have to have something to hook it to. So they received 4 pairs of underwear, 6 reusable menstrual pads, and soap. The instructors at the 3 Nyaka schools, Kutumba Primary, Nyaka Primary, and Nyaka Vocational, 3 instructors from each of the schools went through training with AfriPads on how to use the products, how to clean the products, and general female gynecologic health. So we trained the trainers. The instructors then went back to the schools and had classes with the different students and taught them things like tracking their menstrual cycle, how to have good vaginal health, how to take good care of themselves, how to know if something was wrong, how to manage their periods, how to manage the supplies that they had, how to clean them, etc. So $2,706, some wine, some snacks, and a lot of Rotary goodwill and fellowship have positively impacted 191 young women in Uganda in ways that we can't even imagine. They are doing a study at 6 months where they are quizzing the young women about how this has impacted their life, if they're able to use them appropriately, if they're able to maintain cleanliness, and if they're having concerns. They're also tracking attendance. And then they will do that again at 12 months. So we will get more data back from this in terms of how, not just subjective of how we think this is impacting them, but actual objective data of how this has impacted these young women's lives. We know that when women are educated and are able to complete education, they delay childbearing. We know that they are more likely to be higher wage earners. We know that their children are more likely to grow up outside of poverty. We know that they're more able to potentially own property or business. So continuing education and giving women the tools that they need to be able to complete high school is critical to pulling people out of poverty and empowering women to make differences in their communities. I'm very proud of our club. We had visitors and donations from the other 2 clubs as well. It was truly another Bloomington complete Rotary event, and very excited. As everybody knows, this year our Rotary International president is the first female president of Rotary International, and she's really challenging clubs to start looking at women's health and women's issues. So very proud of everybody, very grateful for this club, and I would love to open it up for questions, comments.
Remind me, how did we get turned on to this as a project?
Jackson was here visiting, and he and I were talking, and I have been doing a lot of just personal deep dive research on period poverty, particularly in the United States, because there's a lot of, if you pay attention to the news, there's been a lot of issues of states or communities trying to make these items tax-free. There are school districts in the country that have made it a priority to have menstrual products available at the schools so that young women can access those. So just my personal passion, and then Jackson and I got talking, and I said, well, if it's a problem here, it's gotta be a problem there, right? And he said, oh yeah, and we started talking, and like, well, we're connected with you guys, why don't we do something? We partnered with a Rotary Club in Uganda who actually went to AfriPads in Western Uganda, got the supplies, and drove them over to Eastern Uganda, to Nyaka for us. So there was actually communication and partnership with another Rotary Club there, and they were happy. They just had volunteers from their club go pick up stuff and drive it over to Nyaka. Uganda's a big country. It's not like driving from here to Indy. It was a several-hour drive, but they committed to doing that just to partner with us on the project. Any other questions, comments?
Our Lady put the church bought a bunch of products and took it to very school.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, menstruation happens anywhere from 10 to 15, depending on the young woman. So elementary schools, particularly Title I schools like Fairview, where the socioeconomic, most of these overwhelming percentage of kids at Fairview are getting free or reduced lunch, free textbooks, and having, removing that one additional barrier for young women is critical. I know Charlotte Zitlow has said this is something she feels really strongly about. She's started reaching out to community agencies, talking about how they can get involved in making these products available at school. I know at the district conference, the volunteer project was putting together positive period packs, supplies to be distributed to the schools with notes written in there for the young women. We all know being a teenager is tough. Bleeding once a month can be tough. Giving these young women, letting them know they're not alone, people care about them, here's your supplies, you can do this, it's very empowering. And so I think, I know it's difficult sometimes to talk about. I'm a nurse, I can talk about anything. I know in a generally white male audience, sometimes it's something that can be a little challenging to talk about. But when we, get over that hump, we can really make a big difference, and I really believe that our clubs have made a really big difference in the young women at Nyaka for very small amount of money overall.
What would you like for us to do as a club? Pledge an amount to this effort, Jodi?
I think what I would like to do, I'm really interested, I'm working with Charlotte a lot on the toast this year. She's Gladys Devane, who's our honoree this year, is a very good friend of Charlotte's, and so Charlotte's calling it the executive committee. So Charlotte, Jean, and Gladys and I have met over a glass of wine to talk toast, and so I want to get Charlotte's input on local. I think our relationship with Teachers Warehouse has the potential to have an impact if we have teachers who can come and maybe have access to supplies that they can keep in their classroom. My husband always keeps supplies in his classroom. It's in the back cabinet, you need it, get it. And so having teachers be able to have those and let the kids know those are available. I also think that once we get the 12-month data back, if this has the impact with Nyaka that we expect that it does, because of our relationship with Nyaka, I would be very interested in seeing if, we could do a little bit every year. Maybe not something this big, but continue to get a little bit out there to them. Or maybe with the Rotary Club in Uganda that I communicated with, maybe get them on board to start helping. So I think there are a lot of different things.
If I could add, for this past district conference that happened, a project very similar in support of Girls Inc. was sort of executed as the day of service, where money was raised and products were stuffed into backpacks and kits for students. So we are addressing this on a local level as well, and Girls Inc. has
Yep.
been a
Yep,
great
Girls Inc.
resource
was
for
the
that.
beneficiary of that, which is really awesome. That, you know, girls go there after school, and it's all about empowering young women, and so this can be part of the process. Adam? That was the question. Yeah, so I think there are a lot of things. My next step on this is I want to write up a synopsis of this project and our initial impact and where we intend to go, because I'd like for that to get in the district newsletter. Jackson and I have a dream that at the 12-month data that we may be able to write an article to go into the Rotary magazine. You know, $2,706, you know, if we all had to write a check for it, it hurt a little bit, right? But when everybody comes together for 25 or 50 bucks or a $100 donation, that amount of money and what it can do long-term is exponential. So getting other clubs to think about this in their communities or internationally or et cetera, I think is really important.
I would also add to that, just as the president-elect, you know, in the coming year, we want to have engaging opportunities to come together outside of just Thursdays. It's nice when we can blend our personal interests with something that might benefit a group. Wine won out in this particular one, but we are very open to suggestions on ways to come up with attractive extracurricular opportunities that are family friendly, you know, and that get us all in one place and one time, both sharing ideas and money for a greater good. So come back at us with ideas if you have those, please.
Last thing, because I didn't have tech, that's why I had all my little cards. It's supposed to be like PowerPoint. The last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pass around, because I don't have tech. These are some of the pictures that Nyaka sent back of the teachers and the students. So take a peek at these young women getting empowered in Uganda and pass them around.
I just gotta say, you know, not only are they missing out on education on those days they miss, but that's an embarrassment because everybody knows why they're missing. And to a girl, that's very, very important for her self-esteem to not, you know.
And culturally, you're correct. You know, we all have to kind of get comfortable with our own bodies, right? But culturally, in some developing countries, there's real stigma attached with menstruation and periods in general. And so having these young women not miss school for that reason, actually, yeah, that can help. And having them be educated about their bodies and empowered about their bodies, that enables them to maybe teach their family, teach their future children, so that we can kind of get rid of some of that stigma for sure. So I'm proud of each and every one of you, and I am very grateful for all of you for getting on board with my passion project. And I know we all feel really strongly about Nyaka, and this is just another way that we were able to serve them and to make it a better school environment for them.
Well, thank you, Jodi.